Happy New Year. Today is January 2nd, and I know a lot of you are thinking about New Year's resolutions and your expectations. Maybe you have some health goals for 2025, which brings me to the reason that I wanted to do this new short podcast series is because a lot of people feel overwhelmed and just sort of exhausted when it comes to non toxic products. We're hearing from every which way that all chemicals, everything is toxic, everything's going to harm us. So we just throw our hands up in the air. But I'm here to tell you that switching to non-toxic products, it can be the easiest thing you do for your health goals. If you have the information, which I'm going to share with you, I'm going to hold your hand throughout the process so that it can be super easy for you to switch. And if you just make one switch, to me, that is a win. And this is what I'm inspired and motivated to do this year is to make it as easy as possible for everyone to switch. So today I'm going to talk about all about mascara so you know why it's bad. I think when we understand why we're more likely to stay committed. So why it's bad, what to look out for, and some good options of what to buy, as well as a little bit of my experience switching mascara. But here's why this one's important. Our eyes are delicate and we really don't want to mess around with this area. And what's interesting is the base for most of the mascaras out there is paraffin. Now, that's a petroleum derived ingredient. It's a mineral oil saturated hydrocarbon. And the problem is, if it's not refined properly, it can have residual or contaminants like polycystic aromatic hydrocarbons, which are carcinogenic. Now, in Europe, there's a regulation that says all the paraffin and the mineral oils derived from hydrocarbons have to be uh, they have to be cleaned up so they don't have these contaminants. We don't have that in the US. And that's a problem that you'll see over and over is there's fewer regulations in the US. Now, the other big thing in mascara is the color. We want that deep pigment in our mascaras. And the way that they get it is from another petroleum derived ingredient, which is carbon black. Now, there are safer options to these petroleum derived ingredients. One that mascaras use, or the main one that clean mascaras use, is iron oxide. So they're synthetic. They don't have this carcinogenic contamination issue. And, when I started looking at clean products, it took me a really long time to part with my favorite Dior show and my Chanel inimitable mascaras. Those were so great. And if you've tried clean mascaras and not had success, I can totally relate. They used to be hard to remove. They didn't look as good and they would run. It was really a mess. But fast forward to today, there are a lot of good clean options. And I also, before I tell you about those clean ones, I really want to give you a rundown of the popular mascaras that have these harmful ingredients in them, just because these are ones you've probably heard of. Maybe you've used them before. And I also want to give you the ones that are what I call clean washed. So these are the ones that are claiming to be clean, but they really aren't. This is prevalent in so many categories right now because clean is such a trend. So, okay, for the category of popular mascaras you want to avoid, you've got that Maybelline Great Lash Mascara. It's in the hot pink and green tube. It's been around forever. Like I mentioned, the Chanel Inimitable, one of my old favorites, Lancome, Hypnose, Peter Thomas Roth. These are all some popular ones. Okay, for the clean wash category, we've got Thrive Cosmetics, REM Beauty, Milk Makeup, Merit Beauty, Sarah Creel, Physicians Formula, L'Oreal Voluminous. This is a super popular mascara. It's everywhere and it's eye level at the grocery store. Huda Beauty, Too Faced Better Than Sex, Maybelline Define-A-Lash. Okay, and speaking of Maybelline Define-A-Lash, this mascara actually has Teflon in it. And you may be familiar with Teflon because it's what's used in the nonstick coating of cookware. It's one of many of thousands of what's called per and polyfluoroalkyl substances. You might have seen the label PFAS. And these are harmful forever chemicals that we're now dealing with in our drinking water because they're used so widely. And there's a whole host of health effects ranging from increased cholesterol, immune system effects, cancer risk, thyroid hormone disruption. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Effects on infant birth weights. So this is not something that you want in your mascara. It's intentionally added to that Maybelline mascara. And another thing I want to point out is the mascaras that are more likely to contain these Teflon PFA chemicals are the ones that are waterproof. So you really don't want to use waterproof. Other cosmetics that often have these are foundations or lipsticks that are long wearing. So we don't want waterproof. We don't want long wearing because they're more likely to have these PFAS or PFA chemicals. What's interesting too is I came across this ad, and it was actually an award-winning ad by L'Oreal where they took 100 women to the movie theater. They put the makeup on them. They took before pictures. They sent them to watch the Titanic. All the women cried. And then they took a picture of their makeup after, proving that their mascara didn't budge. It was L'Oreal's waterproof mascara, just to tout the impressiveness of this waterproof mascara. And interestingly, years later, L'Oreal was named in a lawsuit for including PFAs in a mascara and not properly disclosing it, among other things. So I want you to walk away with some good options. Now, I've actually found a couple clean mascaras that I love. The one that I've been sticking to the longest, the most recently, is Ilia Limitless Lash Mascara. And I love that one because it's lengthening. It's not clumpy, so it's not super thick. It does not run under my eyes and it's easy for me to remove at the end of the day. So it kind of checks all of my boxes. I would say this one is the most lengthening. The very first mascara that was truly clean that I fell in love with is the Lily Lolo. And I still think that one is such a classic because it adds length, it adds a little bit of volume. It's just all around good, doesn't run, doesn't clump or flake. It's just a good mascara. Also, another great one is the Fit Glow Beauty Mascara. That one is nice and volumizing. And for the most part, I get consistent positive feedback on these mascaras, though. I think there's a little bit of personal preference that goes on. Some people will say they like one better than the other, but I do feel that these are three solid options. If you don't like one, go on to the next. And one last tip is make sure you are swapping out your mascara every 3 months, because if not, it can lead to eye infections and all kinds of crazy stuff. It's one of those things that you don't want to use forever. You want to make sure that you're constantly replenishing them. So that is my bit on mascara for today. I hope that you are inspired to switch out your mascara, which you should be running out of it soon if you're replacing it like you should. Also, I am sending out emails every single week this year with one product recommendation or switch, with tips, with discount codes. And of course, go check out my app. It'll help you tremendously as you try to navigate what's clean and what's not. You simply scan the ingredients, tells you what's bad, why, which knowledge is power, and also gives you clean alternatives. Happy New Year, everyone. I hope you have an amazing day, week, and